guys, Kingpin here. Welcome to the next episode of Franchise Mode. In case you missed the very last episode, we started off by making an entrance to the zoo. We made a very nice staff pavilion over here, fit with really good scenery for the staff to work hard and take better breaks. And then we made a little bathroom and a little food court right at the start of the zoo. Guests really seemed to be enjoying it. Their restroom, food, and drink rating all went up. I really want to make a gift shop over here of the new modular items, but before that, we made this Arctic fox exhibit, our latest one in the zoo so far. And off camera, they actually had a breed of young. They had about 5 in the litter. It was actually kind of overwhelming. This exhibit is barely big enough for the 3 of them. It's only big enough by about a square foot. So having that many, we had to put them in the animal storage. We applied contraceptives so that won't happen again, but we have a fair amount of Arctic foxes left. This is Penguin Cove. We made this in the very first episode of this brand new series of our eco-friendly zoo. In case you missed that very first episode, this zoo has 3 main themes. It's eco-friendly, it's modern, and primarily focuses on aquatic animals like our penguins. Arctic foxes are more of a fill-in, we just needed a small animal to make money. But today we're going to be going back to our roots with our aquatic animals. It's going to be a surprise from the aquatic pack. The one thing I'm still not really sure what to do with is this big area in the middle of the zoo. A part of me wants to add in the flamingos here, but I'm not sure. It either seems too small, too big, too weirdly shaped. I keep being wishy-washy about it. But today, we're going to be working over here next to the Arctic fox exhibit. Where the path is currently jutting up heading north, that's going to be an underwater viewing section. Kind of similar to what we have in Penguin Cove, although it's not going to be a tunnel. It's just going to have glass on the right side. Over where the mouse cursor is, or controller cursor since we're on console edition, this is going to be an above-ground viewing area where you can look down and see the seals on the surface of the water. And we're going to be modeling this after kind of a pier. Think about like a Californian coast. Hopefully it turns out really nice with a lot of rocks and foliage too. It took a pretty good amount of time, so I had to speed up the footage, but in summary, we just made the path go down about 6 meters using the tunneling terrain feature, then used the subtract terrain feature to get that big square pit that you see, and then we just used the smooth the foundation tool just to get it a little bit smoother on the upside, and then we used the add terrain tool with the slope one so we can get a pyramid shape that lets the seals have a nice gradual decline instead of just having an abyss in the middle of their pool. That way, it's a little bit more natural and the seafloor progresses naturally instead of just being a square inside of another square. It really was easy, and a good technique too. I even tried to mix up the angles and make it go diagonal. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the shaping of it. I also remembered to use the smooth terrain feature too to make it a little bit more natural looking as well. I often forget to do this, especially in Penguin Cove. I don't want to have any rigid edges because seals can be pretty delicate. This exhibit had a lot of planning going into it, and one of the more difficult areas to plan was the staff location that I know I wanted to have. I'm trying to model it based off a California pier, loosely based off the Columbus Zoo sea lion exhibit. I'll put a picture on screen now in case you haven't been. It's really cool, and a very good first exhibit. But I'm going to model each of these buildings to look kind of creative and colorful, more so than a typical staff area would be. If you've made it this far into the video, I'm going to assume you're not bored quite yet. So, if you're not bored, don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here. We're starting to grow a real community, averaging about 50 comments per video. I couldn't be happier with the progress the channel's having, and I really do mean it. Thank you everyone who's enjoying these videos. I'm having a blast putting them out too. It doesn't even feel like work at this point. At this point, the exhibit is completely watertight, and in theory we could put the seals in here right now and they would at least have somewhere to go. But right now I'm just going to completely finish off the basics of the exhibit, add in some sand, add in some rocks, some things I think the seals might like, although I'm not positive. And I thought it would look a little bit better if we added the preset railings to the path. Preset ones don't always look good, but here they're fine. And now we wait. The gray seals are officially on their way. Hopefully the vets can get here soon, although I think these seals can get pretty heavy. They have a lot of blubber to keep them warm in the Arctic after all. I'm really happy with the scale of this exhibit. Typically a pitfall my exhibits tend to fall in is they're either way too big like comically too big, or they're a little bit smaller than I want, but I'm really happy with the size this one turned out with. It doesn't take up that big of a footprint in the zoo, especially compared to Penguin Cove, which is your starting exhibit. And it also isn't too small either, like the Arctic Fox, although we purposely made that one small. Speaking of the Arctic Fox, we should probably check on them. And it looks like they're doing alright. I know they're prone to stress. I actually got a really helpful comment in the last video detailing how stress works. You can see it in the Zoopedia, which I actually didn't know. And here they are. That zookeeper really could have just gone around the gate, if you think about it. He kind of took the longest possible path. Oh my gosh, look at these guys model. The Aquatic Pack might be the best DLC. This is thumbnail material if I have ever seen it. Except now it's a gray seal Hydra. There we go. Can't really edit that out in post, but that's going to be on the thumbnail, so it's worth it. Plus you gotta have the live reaction of the first time ever seeing the gray seal. Look how cute he is. Take another one, just for safekeeping. Sometimes the lighting gets a little bit screwed up. The gray seal is actually an incredibly challenging animal to make an exhibit look good with, and it's not because what you may think. Their exhibit isn't necessarily hard requirement-wise, it's because it's what they don't want that's difficult. They don't like a whole lot of plants. Other than that, they're pretty standard. But plants are by far the easiest way to decorate and make an exhibit look really good in this game. Every animal needs enrichment, that's a given, except usually reptiles don't need a whole lot, but even then reptiles love plants. So I would definitely and definitively say the most difficult animals to decorate for in this game are the ones that don't like a whole lot of plants. And the gray seal, just like the Arctic foxes, are below 30%. The penguins are too. We don't really have an animal in this zoo yet that likes plants, which has been a pretty bad challenge to be honest, and it's made me get a little bit out of my comfort zone. But I can appreciate that, because we can make up in other areas. Decorating with these new faux rock pieces is actually really helpful, and you can even put plants on the inside of those, and as long as they're outside of the null barrier, or the barrier glass, you can detail the exhibit with plants without actually having the plants in the exhibit. Plants only affect the animal's liking if they're inside their null barrier or regular barrier of the habitat. If it's on the outside, perfectly fine to have the plants look like they're in the exhibit, but technically they're not. So, the only plants that are going to be physically in the seal's exhibit are these long eel grasses which are on the bottom. It took a really long time to make all this stuff, so I had to cut it from the video, otherwise it would be about an hour long. But most of this is blueprint related. The building on the far right I made completely from scratch, and we'll look at that later. Actually, first we're going to get another thumbnail capture of the gray seal, because I love these guys' animations. Come on. You never know it's going to be perfect. Little behind-the-scenes tidbit, but I take about probably 10 of those every video. These guys are so cute, though. I'm really a fan of how this exhibit's going to turn out so far. I like the shallow water, I like the deep water, and the pier looks really nice. The colors are very vibrant, which is a big stark contrast to what I usually build in a more realistic scale, but this is realistic and colorful. When building this exhibit, I wasn't entirely sure where to start in the detailing phase. There's just so much I possibly could have done, and I primarily used a lot of blueprints, which I wasn't really used to doing, so I wasn't really sure where to go. If you ever have a block in creativity, a really easy way to get over that is to just start off by putting some basic plants down. I know the seals don't like plants very much, but some eelgrass won't hurt them at all. As you can see, they have a little bit of plant coverage available up the top. They don't like a whole lot of plants, but some is fine here and there. The idea behind placing this eelgrass the way I did was that I wanted to just be in little patches, because seals, contrary to how they look, are actually carnivores, hunting fish, mollusk, and any other things they can find off the ground of the sea. Oftentimes, the prey that they're searching for is going to be hiding among the grass, so I figured it would be the most realistic for the seals if I could mimic their habitat just like this and have little places for the fish to hide, because they do have a couple of feeders in there. I'm not sure if the animation in this game actually dispenses dead or alive fish, but if the fish were alive, like they are in most real zoos, they would have plenty of space to hide and give the seal some actual hunting experience. So this is the reason I went with the eelgrass and the layout that I did. The second thing that I needed to do with this exhibit is get the education going. This zoo is still new, and our donation bins are actually coming in extremely clutch right now, but uneducated guests aren't going to donate as much, so we had to get a speaker, education boards, and a power source in here really quickly. That way, the guests can be able to fund this construction project. And the seals kept escaping too, because my geniusness didn't decide to put rocks where they can blatantly escape. I decided to do plants first. I was a little bit wishy-washy with building the barrier of this exhibit, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to extend the little sea town and pier, or if I just wanted to make a rocky coast. This ended up costing me thousands because the seals, despite having a giant pool in front of them, decided to make a break for the exit every single opportunity they were given. And despite being large, lumbering potato things, they actually got surprisingly far every time, and I was only playing on 1 speed. I swear, animals in this game are programmed to be able to make an exit whenever they have the opportunity. It's not like sometimes they find it on accident. No, they'll make a break for it, so you have to account for that. After we had enough money where I could comfortably pause the time so the seals couldn't practice their escape artist act anymore, just like our Asian small-clawed otters in the Primate Conservation Center, I then decided to use some of the brand new faux rocks for the aquatic pack. While watching reviews for the aquatic pack, a lot of YouTubers and other people on Reddit have been hyping up these faux rocks as the best part of the game and best detailing block by far. And to be honest, I didn't really understand it until I got my hands on them, but being able to change 2 colors on the rocks is actually so clutch. Just having different gradients makes it able to be so much more customizable and so much more detailed. They really look realistic despite being the only rocks that aren't real. It's a little bit confusing, but a great way to detail an exhibit quickly is to make one singular segment like we're doing on screen now. Change up the colors, change up the type of rocks, add in some rough edges, add in some soft areas, change up the textures. It's really not that hard, but once you're completely happy with it, just completely duplicate the rock that you made that's made up of a bunch of smaller rocks using the Hold A feature on Multi-Select. Once you do this, you can rotate it either on the Y, X, or Z axis to get really cool shapes, and effectively, you only need to make one giant rock, and then you can detail the entire exhibit, and you guys would have been none the wiser if I didn't show the footage or tell you. You can really blend it in really effectively. Another thing that I tried really hard to do using this exact same rock that I've been using the entire exhibit is mess with the elevation of it a little bit. I really like the design because this rock has a kind of jagged section towards the left-hand side, but if you mess with the elevation, it can make it look a lot bigger. And I'm even rotating it on its x-axis now, and a little bit on the z-axis too, to completely cover up all of the dirt. That way this really looks like the ocean floor, and not just some random cliff that looks like a pool. I really like the look of kind of having a retaining wall of rock that holds the dirt back. It makes it a lot more realistic than you might think. Using something like limestone or concrete in a build like this is something I see a lot of YouTubers do, but I really like the stone look because it makes it look less uniform and manufactured, and more like you just took a slice of the Pacific Ocean where these seals can live and just throw it in a zoo. I think the animals would like that a lot more too, since it's their natural habitat. I'm really liking how this exhibit looks so far, but we have a lot more details to add before it's done. What's the point of building an epic underwater viewing for the gray seals if the guests don't know anything about them? Let's change that. Gray seals are named after their speckled gray coloration, which helps them blend in with the rocky shorelines where they often lounge about when they're not swimming. They're one of the largest seal species, with males, called bulls, reaching lengths of up to 8 to 10 feet, and weighing as much as 800 to 900 pounds. Females, called cows, are smaller, typically around 6 feet in length, weighing about 370 pounds. They're about half the size. Gray seals are very vocal animals and use a variety of sounds to communicate with each other, including grunts, growls, even singing during their mating season. Their vocalizations can be quite diverse and are used for social interaction and maintaining territories among other bulls. They have a relatively long lifespan in the wild, living up to 25 to 35 years. Gray seals are also extremely adept swimmers. They enjoy their life in the water tremendously. They have streamlined bodies and strong flippers, which allow them to swim gracefully and efficiently. They're known to dive to impressive lengths of up to 230 meters, 750 feet down, in search of food, where they primarily eat fish like cod, herring, and sand eels, but they also consume crustaceans and squid. They're skilled hunters, using their keen senses to locate prey underwater. Gray seals typically breed in large colonies during the fall and winter months. They give birth to only a single pup after a gestation period of around 9 months, quite similar to a human actually. Pups are born with a white coat, which they shed after a few weeks. While gray seals are currently classified as least concern by the IUCN, they face threats such as entanglement in fishing gear, habitat loss, and disturbances at breeding sites. Conservation efforts are important to ensure their continued survival, but as of right now, in the present, the gray seals are doing just fine. Gray seals are also extremely social animals and can often be found in groups of up to hundreds during the breeding season. However, they can also be solitary at times, particularly when foraging for food. This is because gray seals are an incredibly intelligent species, and they know exactly what they do well. Gray seals are excellent swimmers, and they know it. They're found along the coast of the North Atlantic Ocean, particularly along the coast of Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Scandinavia. They inhabit large coastal areas, rocky islands, and offshore reefs where they can haul out and breed. Gray seals have an extremely thick layer of blubber beneath their skin, which helps them stay warm in the cold Arctic waters which they can inhabit. This adaptation is crucial for their survival, especially during the long dives in the chilly ocean environments. The deeper you go underwater, the less sunlight reaches, which means it's colder. This is a key adaptation which helps the seals access their prey. Unlike many other seal species, gray seals do undergo a molt migration. They migrate to specific locations where they can haul out to land to molt, shedding their old fur and growing a completely new coat. These molting sites are important for their conservation as they provide a safe space for this essential process in their life. Gray seals exhibit playful behavior both in water and on land. They're often seen engaging in activities such as surfing waves, playing with objects, and interacting with other seals. Gray seals hold extreme cultural significance in many coastal communities where they're found. They've been depicted in folklore, mythology, and art throughout history, typically representing various qualities such as strength, resilience, and adaptability, due to their extreme adaptations to be able to survive in the cold. Gray seals are valuable subjects for scientific research due to their accessibility and relatively large size. Scientists study their behavior, physiology, ecology, and genetics to better understand the marine ecosystems which they call home. As a top predator in their marine habitats, gray seals play a crucial role in maintaining the ecosystem balance. By regulating prey populations, they help prevent overgrazing of marine resources and contribute to the overall health of the oceans. Gray seals have a complex relationship with humans. While they are admired by many for their beauty and extreme intelligence, they can also come into conflict with some fishermen due to competition for resources. Effective management strategies are necessary to mitigate these conflicts and ensure peaceful coexistence. Gray seals are unique in that they have several recognized subspecies, each with its own distinct characteristics and distribution in the world. These include the Atlantic gray seal and the Baltic gray seal, among many others. The reason gray seals can dive to the depths that they do is because they have a few key adaptations that allow them to excel in their underwater environment. These include extremely large lungs for storing oxygen, a slowed heart rate during deep dives to conserve oxygen, and the ability to restrict blood flow to non-essential organs while submerged. You'll also notice that they don't have ears. This is to streamline their body and reduce any amount of drag that there could possibly be in the water. Their bodies are perfectly streamlined. This is why they have to molt their fur. Overall, gray seals are an incredibly interesting animal that combine beauty, intelligence, and just being cute. While I've made bigger exhibits, matter of fact, there's a bigger exhibit in this zoo, I think this one might be my favorite. It's not very small, but it's tight packed with details. I really am a big fan of how this mural on top appears, so you can still technically see through it. This underwater viewing area is also extremely well made, tight to the pack with details. If you'll follow the path out, you'll end up seeing the dock area of the build. This is another one of my favorite areas, because you can clearly see the seals vegging out on their own dock. You can also see them when they go into the shallow water, or if they go onto their little floating platform. They're all really happy in here. Aside from the food, which is because we haven't researched it yet, they're all 100% happy in here. I made them a little bubble area, they have 2 feeders, they have their submarine. They're chilling in this exhibit. They're all really happy, swimming in the deep end together. Seals are extremely social animals, as I hope you guys learned in the education portion of the video. I learned how to make really good barriers in this exhibit too. The fact that we were able to do all of this rock work with the exact same 2 rocks is kind of mind-blowing. Changing up angles just makes it so different, but so varied too. You can really do a lot with a little in this game, and even the blueprints came in clutch for once. Typically I don't like using them, I see them more as a beginner-friendly tool. Not to bash you if you do like them, some of them look great. Matter of fact, we used 5 or 6 of them in this exhibit. And we just got our mail too. I tried to keep it secret, but we actually had to spend 900 conservation credits on this guy. For some reason, I don't know if it's a bug or that's just how the game is designed, male seals do not spawn in the animal trade. I had to get this guy for really expensive, and his flipper is glitching and he's planking on me immediately. Are you taunting me? You must be a strong seal. You can weigh up to 900 pounds and you're just holding up all of your bulk on a ledge like that. You should probably get in the water where you're a little bit more buoyant. There's still some details on the outside of the exhibit we're going to have to work on. We only really detailed up one side of it. If I can just get in here, that would be great. Sometimes the camera controls are a little finicky. But this is such a cool view. Heck, this might be thumbnail material too, actually, now that I think about it. It's really cool to see the guest's POV. We have some education down here, some donation bins. We've got everything you could possibly want for a great gray seal exhibit. Thank you Planet Zoo devs for the aquatic update. It's really awesome and I like it. Hope you guys liked this video though, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Kingpin out. Catch you in the next one.